What if I told you that the Yankees GM just confirmed we're not even in the conversation for the top free agent on the market? What if the same front office that watched the Blue Jays win the AL East and knock us out in the ALDS is now telling us that the biggest bat available this winter doesn't fit our philosophy? Kyle Tucker, four-time All-Star, Gold Glove winner, 72 postseason games under his belt, hasn't even set foot in Steinbrenner Field. And according to Brian Cashman, there's a pretty clear reason why. The question is, should we be worried, or is there a bigger plan at play? Hello, Yankees universe. Welcome to NYY News Today, your go-to spot for the latest New York Yankees updates. If you've been refreshing Twitter all week hoping to see Kyle Tucker linked to the Bronx, I've got some news that might sting a little. Brian Cashman just gave us an update at the winter meetings, and it's one of those read between the lines moments that has fans divided. Are we being smart and strategic, or are we overthinking ourselves out of a championship? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss our daily Yankees breakdowns. We're here to give you the real story, the context, and the analysis you won't find anywhere else. All right, let's break this down. Here's what we know. At the winter meetings in Orlando, Brian Cashman was asked about Kyle Tucker, the consensus #1 free agent on the market this offseason. Tucker's a 8-year-old left-handed hitting outfielder who spent 2025 with the Chicago Cubs after being traded from Houston. And what a season it was. 266 batting average, 377 on-base percentage, 22 home runs, 73 RBI, 25 stolen bases, and his second Silver Slugger award. Oh, and he's a Gold Glove caliber defender who's been to 4 All-Star games and has 72 career postseason games to his name. This guy is the real deal. So naturally, Yankees fans have been dreaming about him in right field at Yankee Stadium. But when Cashman was asked about Tucker, he dropped a pretty clear signal. Kyle Tucker has not visited Steinbrenner Field, Cashman said. And here's the kicker, Tucker lives in Tampa, just a short drive from the Yankees' spring training complex. Meanwhile, he recently visited the Blue Jays facility in Dunedin. You see where this is going? But wait, there's more. Cashman also made a point to say that the Yankees are too left-handed right now, without a doubt. The current roster already has Austin Wells, Jazz Chisholm Jr., Ryan McMahon, Trent Grisham, and potentially Cody Bellinger, all hitting from the left side. Jason Dominguez, who's a switch hitter, has really struggled from the right side of the plate throughout his career. So the writing's on the wall. The Yankees are prioritizing right-handed bats this winter. Now, does this mean the Yankees are completely out on Tucker? Not necessarily. Cashman didn't explicitly say they won't pursue him. But when you connect the dots, no facility visit, emphasis on right-handed bats, Hal Steinbrenner's comments about ideally reducing payroll from last year's $319 million, it's pretty clear that Tucker isn't at the top of the Yankees' wish list. And for a lot of fans, that's a tough pill to swallow. Let's be real about where the Yankees are right now. We just came off a 94-win season where we tied with the Blue Jays for the AL East, lost the tiebreaker, and then got eliminated in 4 games in the ALDS. That stings. And watching the Blue Jays go on to the World Series where they pushed the Dodgers to 7 games makes it sting even more. So yeah, fans want to see big moves. They want to see aggression. They want Kyle Tucker. But here's where we need to pump the brakes and think about what Cashman is actually saying. When he says the lineup is too left-handed, he's not wrong. Look at what happened in the playoffs. When we faced tough left-handed pitching, our offense disappeared. In Game 1 of the ALDS, Kevin Gausman and the Blue Jays' lefty-heavy bullpen shut us down. That's a real problem, and it's been a problem for years. Kyle Tucker is an elite player, no doubt about it, but he's also going to command somewhere between $300 $400 million over probably 10 years. That's a massive commitment for a left-handed hitter when you already have a roster full of them. Is Tucker better than what the Yankees currently have in left field? Absolutely. Would he make the lineup better? Without question. But would he solve the fundamental roster construction issue that's been plaguing this team? That's the debate. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, Hal Steinbrenner and the payroll. Yes, Hal said it would be ideal to reduce payroll from $319 million. But here's what people are missing, he also said. But does that mean that's going to happen? Of course not. We want to field a team we know could win a championship. And according to Cashman himself, he hasn't been given a hard cap. He's been told to bring every opportunity to ownership for consideration. That doesn't sound like a team that's being cheap. That sounds like a team that's being deliberate. The reality is this: the Yankees' current projected payroll for 2026 is around $280 million. They have room to spend. They need outfield help. They need bullpen help. They potentially need starting pitching depth. The question isn't whether they'll spend, it's where they'll spend. And if the front office believes that adding a $350 million left-handed bat to an already left-heavy lineup creates more problems than it solves, maybe, just maybe, they have a point. You know what? Let's go back to 2024 for a second. The Yankees went all in on Juan Soto, giving him a massive offer. They lost him to the Mets. It was brutal, but instead of panicking, they pivoted. They signed Max Fried to anchor the rotation. They brought in Devin Williams to bolster the bullpen before he struggled. They made calculated moves. Did it result in a championship? No. But did they put together a competitive team that won 94 games and made the playoffs? Yes. Now compare that to the Blue Jays' approach. Toronto went out and signed Dylan Cease to a 7-year, $210 million deal. They retained Shane Bieber. They made trades at the deadline. They committed to winning now, and it paid off. They won the division. They made the World Series. The Dodgers, meanwhile, just kept doing Dodgers things, adding talent, spending money, and winning championships. That's 2 straight titles for LA. So where does that leave the Yankees? Here's the hard truth. You can't out-Dodger the Dodgers. You can't outspend them. You can't build your roster the exact same way and expect different results. What the Yankees can do is be smarter. They can identify market inefficiencies. They can prioritize roster balance. They can make strategic additions that address specific weaknesses rather than just accumulating talent for talent's sake. Look at the 2009 championship team. Yeah, they spent big on CC Sabathia, A.J. Burnett, and Mark Teixeira. But they also had Nick Swisher, Melky Cabrera, and a balanced lineup that could hit both lefties and righties. They had versatility. They had depth. They weren't just a collection of superstars. They were a team built to win in October. And that's what Cashman seems to be trying to recreate here. Does that mean passing on Kyle Tucker is the right move? I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that there's a logic to it that goes beyond just ownership is being cheap. The Yankees are trying to build a roster that can beat the Blue Jays over 162 games and then handle whatever the postseason throws at them. That requires balance. It requires flexibility. And yes, it requires some tough decisions about where to allocate resources. So if not Tucker, then who? That's the million-dollar question. The Yankees have been heavily linked to Cody Bellinger, and Cashman has been very public about wanting him back. Bellinger's a switch hitter who can play multiple positions, hits righties well, and was a big part of last year's success. Bringing him back makes sense. Beyond that, the Yankees are connected to Kyle Schwarber, who's a right-handed power bat with postseason experience. There's talk about Japanese pitcher Tatsuya Imai. There are trade possibilities for players like Luis Robert Jr. or even Vladimir Guerrero Jr. if the Blue Jays decide to move on. The point is, the Yankees have options. They're not sitting still. They're actively engaged in the market. Cashman said he's been in contact with multiple agents about multiple players. The winter meetings have just started, and deals can happen fast. Maybe we'll look back in 2 weeks and the Yankees will have made a splash that nobody saw coming. Or maybe they'll take the calculated, strategic approach and fill multiple holes with solid players instead of breaking the bank for one superstar. Here's what I think is really going on. The Yankees are trying to thread the needle. They want to stay competitive in the AL East, which just got tougher with the Blue Jays' success and the Orioles' improvements. They want to address the roster imbalances that hurt them in the playoffs. And they want to do it without committing so much money to one player that they lose flexibility down the line. Is that the sexy, headline-grabbing approach? No. But is it potentially the smart approach? Maybe. And let's not forget, we're only in early December. Free agency is a marathon, not a sprint. Tucker hasn't signed anywhere yet. The Dodgers, who everyone assumed would be all in, reportedly aren't willing to go 10-plus years on him. The Mets have other priorities. The Blue Jays are the favorites right now, but that could change. The Yankees could still pivot if Tucker's market doesn't develop the way he expects. Or they could stick to their guns and build the roster their way. Either way, we're going to find out real soon what the plan is. What I will say is this. If the Yankees pass on Tucker and don't make meaningful improvements elsewhere, then yeah, we've got a problem. But if they pass on Tucker and fill the outfield, bullpen, and potentially rotation with players who make this team better equipped to win in October, then maybe Cashman and the front office deserve the benefit of the doubt. Time will tell. Look, I know this isn't the news Yankees fans wanted to hear. We all want the big splash. We all want to see the Yankees operate like the Yankees of old, throwing money around and landing every big-name free agent. But the reality is, baseball has changed. The Dodgers and Mets have joined the big spending club. The Blue Jays just proved that smart roster construction and player development can take you to the World Series. And the Yankees are trying to find their way in this new landscape. Is passing on Kyle Tucker a mistake? Maybe. Is it part of a bigger, smarter strategy? Also, maybe. What I know for sure is that the Yankees have work to do this offseason, and they know it. Cashman knows it. Steinbrenner knows it. And we're going to be watching every move they make. So, here's my question for you, Yankees universe. Would you rather the Yankees go all in on Tucker and deal with the roster balance issues, or trust the front office to build a more complete team without him? Are you in the championship or bust camp, or are you willing to see how the strategic approach plays out? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear from you. And if you got value from this breakdown, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another NYY News Today video. We'll be tracking every move, every rumor, and every development all off-season long. Thanks for watching Yankees Universe. Until next time, let's go Yankees.